Good afternoon, YouTube. I apologize for the noise. I'm taking my show on the road today, and so I'm outdoors. You may hear a few cars passing by. Again, I apologize, but I wanted to go over this wonderfully handsome revolver here. This is a reproduction of the 1860 Colt Army Revolver. This one is made by Pietta. You can also get them through Urburi, but this is a wonderful little gun. And you know, the 1860 Army Revolver was the pinnacle of black powder revolvers after they'd been brought out from 1836 with the Colt Patterson. And the 1860 Army was the best of the best when it came to the revolvers that compared to everything else. This was the first really portable and really easier to carry belt pistol made in a large enough caliber like the 44. You had other 44 caliber revolvers like the Dragoons, the Walkers, but they were, you ever hear the term horse pistol? That's exactly what they were. They were more or less for being mounted on a horseback. They were big, they were heavy, they were massive. The 1860 Army was the first 44 caliber gun that was light enough you could walk around all day long with it, and it was extremely popular. And even so enough till up after the introduction of the Colt Single Action Army in 1873, they were still quite readily available, quite often seen. Some in cartridge conversions, or sometimes even just the straight cap and ball revolvers. They were a wonderful gun. 44 caliber, throws a .54 lead round ball. That is going to ruin anybody's day, whether it's today or whether it was in 1860. This was the succession to the 1851 Navy. They even used this frame, this grip. This was all more or less 1851 Navy. They rebaited it here and they cut it down. There's a step right here with a cylinder where this cylinder was rebaited like this to allow it to fit into an basically what was an 1851 frame. Now the barrel forward from here up is new. That was a new design. That was when we're starting to use silver steel, and they went with a round barrel, a very streamlined, very smooth round barrel. If you notice on the 1851 Navy, they're a octagon barrel. It's because with the new steel they could finally make a round barrel revolver that was worth something, that was able to work. You'll see some Confederate copies where they have a round barrel, but they're not anywhere near the quality of the Colts. Like the Griswold and Gunnison had their round barrel, but the Colt 1860 was by far the best. And the other guns were like the Griswold and Gunnison, the original ones, were 36 caliber. But not 44. They couldn't handle the pressures. You see reproductions in 44, but they're not accurate. Those are modern steel. And the 1860 was just a wonderful gun. It did what needed to be done for the time. It was a ultra reliable gun, very, very handy gun, accurate. If you've ever known anybody that shot reproductions, I used to compete with an 1860 Colt Army reproduction, just like this. It was a Pietta, just like this. Grips are a little different, and I have medals that I won with it because it is, and at 25 yards, one-handed 25 yards, they're extremely accurate. You get the powder charge, the right powder charge combined with everything else. These guns, and I didn't have to touch the sights. You see some people, they'll file down the sight or they'll cut the channel on the rear sight more. I didn't have to do any of that. And this gun I have not shot, and the reason why is because with the laws here in my state, I don't have this on a pistol permit. Because you can order these guns through Cabela's, through Dixie Gun Works, so on and so forth. If you do, check the laws where you live before you even do it, because everybody's laws are different. Some states, like I believe New Jersey, you can't even ship it anymore. New York City, you can't get this. But the way it works is you'd have to have the gun and all the components to fire it, and it'd have to be on your pistol permit. I have the gun. I have powder and caps from, because I use 30, like my 32 muzzleloader uses the same type of powder that this uses, that uses the 777, triple F powder. And so I do use 777 as a substitute because you just can't get black powder up here. And I have the same caps, etc. But I do not have the lead round ball. And that keeps me from having to put this on my pistol run. I don't know if I'm ever going to shoot this. I may not. If I do, I'll put it on my permit. I have all the paperwork for it. It's just right now I just don't feel the need to. If I do even shoot this gun, it's going to be probably several months from now because hunting season is starting up, and you can't even get to my range that I go to, and it's just going to be too busy. So I probably won't do anything with it. I'll make a decision in the spring on what I want to do. But with that being said, the reproductions are fine revolvers. Now, many people are probably saying that, well, gee, the black powder revolvers, they were old, they're obsolete, they're no good for anything. Then you don't know what you're talking about. The biggest drawback to these guns is, of course, the reloading. It takes time to reload one. That was their biggest, and pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, their only real drawback, especially in .44 caliber. Power is certainly not something this gun lacks. Accuracy is something these guns do not lack. There are ways you can make, you'll see videos for paper cartridges where you can make, and you can load them fairly quickly, and they're fairly reliable. The newer guns, I already got one in case I did decide to shoot it. These are called slick shot nipples. You notice there's a little tiny hole there. What that does is it directs the back pressure away from the outside of the edge of the cap so that it doesn't gum up the action when you fire it. It's much more reliable ignition. I was able to get a deal on those. I got them for the heck of it in case I do ever shoot this gun. Figure I might as well get them while I had the chance. These guns, even in their day, were extremely reliable. Yes, the cartridges, the self-contained cartridge was a drastic step forward. But did that make these guns obsolete instantly? Not a chance. Went through the entire Civil War. These guns were incredibly reliable, incredibly accurate. Again, I've shot these things out to 25 yards. I've had new guns that won't keep up with this. Or actually the other reproduction I had. I haven't shot this one. But the other one was identical to this except for the grebs. There's videos online where guys have left these things loaded for months, if not longer, with powder in them. And they still shoot reliably, all 6 shots. That tells you how good these guns really were, even in their day, because there was no way during the Civil War you were going to go out and unload your gun by shooting 5 or 6 rounds, and then the next morning, or whatever, reload it again with fresh powder. That wasn't going to happen. You were carrying these guns loaded. So that's the way it was. And these guns proved very well throughout the Civil War, as did the 1851 Navy and the other guns that were out at the time. So again, with that being said, this is just something, if I was a shooter and looking for a handgun that's cheap, this gun was $200, brand new through EMF, and they don't run much more than that. If I was looking for a gun that I could keep around, maybe not as politically incorrect. Granted, it takes some work, it takes some doing, it takes some knowledge of black powder revolvers, but are these guns obsolete? Not by any means. You do have to understand that they do take longer to shoot, they do take longer to load, but are they reliable? Yes. Are they formidable? Yes. I'm telling you right now, even with a 36 caliber revolver that's not as powerful as this, at distance, at 10 to 15 yards, it's gonna put a hole in you, and you're gonna know it's there. Now with these, the 1860, the recoil is not that bad, but you're still talking a .454 lead round ball. You're talking a fairly large chunk of lead. So don't count these out for anything today or any other day. So just wanted to go over that and give you something to think about. Have a good day, YouTube.